name is Emma Stellmach. I am a sophomore at Brownsburg High School in Troupe 2108. I chose to do theoretical sound design for the show The Nether by Jennifer Haley. The show questions the lawfulness and ethics in a world where virtual reality is extremely prevalent and influential on society. We follow character Morris, the lead detective on the case, questioning two older men, Doyle and Sims. It is revealed in a big twist at the end that Doyle goes by the name Iris in the virtual world and Sims goes by Papa. Sims has an online business named The Hideaway. The Hideaway is a place where users can log in and play out any pedophilic desires they wish. It is also revealed at the end that Morris has been logging into the Hideaway under the name Woodnut. Woodnut has been giving Iris a lot of personal information, which upsets Papa. The development of the plot is primarily the conflict between these three characters. We bounce back and forth from scene to scene in a dark interrogation room to the virtual reality in question.
Beginning my theoretical design process, I had to understand the story's setting and general time period in order to make sure that my brainstormed ideas would match. I determined that I needed to research the intended set design that would best correlate to my initial ideas after reading the script. Headlong Theater's West End production set was designed by S. Devlin and Luke Halls, seemed best suited for the futuristic world I wanted to support with my design. The two separate levels give the audience a clear visual cue along with my transitional sound cues that the location changes scene to scene. As you will see in the many pages of notes that I took from the beginning and throughout my design process, the video game-like world was something I wanted to harness and emphasize with my work. I was extremely inspired by the science fiction movies and TV shows such as Ready Player One, Stranger Things, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. These images show the auditorium I would theoretically be using to bring my design to life. The auditorium comes standard with 5 front fill speakers, 3 rear fill speakers, 2 subwoofers, and a left and right line array system. Seating at most 1,000 audience members, I definitely knew that all 6 of the actors needed their own individual microphones in order to ensure that the dialogue could be heard from anywhere in the space. When creating my speaker plot, I decided that I simply needed 2 smaller speakers, one mounted under the table with a gramophone and one mounted under the bed in the center of the room. Although there were limited sound effects in the environment of the characters, I still wanted the few that were there to come to life in an accurate location in reference to what was occurring in the scene. Take, for example, the music that plays in the gramophone by placing the speaker under the table holding the prop. The audience is more convinced of the environment, which further brings them into the story. My block diagram and rack diagram display how all of my equipment connects to reach the audience's ears, and my programming playback device, mic plot, and schedule illustrate the details behind what mixing during a performance would look like. As I explained previously, the playwright had very limited notes of required sound effects, this including a grand doorbell and music that would play on a gramophone. Of course, I took these sound effects into account when creating my design, however, I decided to take it much further by creating 31 of my own transitional cues by scratch. I determined that the best way to demonstrate the video game-like idea that I initially had was to create some sort of gaming console startup and close down sound effect. Based on the location and what occurs in the scene, the startup sound effect can differ, whether this be in the foyer, Iris's bedroom, or the sunny spot. As the story arc changes and the conflict between the characters develops, I designed a glitch in my transitions into the hideaway, which emphasizes the rising tension and forces an uncomfortable feeling on the audience. To counter the video game-like design, I also created an eerie interrogation transition that slightly changes throughout the performance as to keep a variety but still regularity in my work. I made all of these cues using a Launchpad Pro. The device paired with a program named Ableton Live allowed me to create my own music. The square keys are extremely sensitive, which allows the user to easily record and adapt with techniques in the music such as rhythms and volume levels. As shown in my Ableton Live workspace, you can see many cues that I created and tested throughout the process. When I first had the idea to create a glitch, I thought I would have to use a pre-existing glitch sound effect and lay it over my transitions. However, one of Ableton's incredible features that I discovered is being able to manipulate your recordings immediately after creating them. I learned about editing the transposition of the sample and creating an offset in the notes. This gave the exact glitch effect that I had wanted. Here are the 2 required sound effects, the grand doorbell and the gramophone music with the fade-out cue. Next, I will play an example of one of the many versions of the interrogation transitions. All are similar, however, all transitions into the interrogations are singular notes, and all of the transitions out of the interrogations are chords. This example is a chord going out of an interrogation scene. Continuing on, I will first play the original game startup sound effect without any glitches. Here is an example of the game startup sound effect with some glitches. And finally, this is what the last game startup sound effect sounds like during the climax of the play. Keep in mind that both the game start up and close down cues have this developing glitch to add emphasis. The sunny spot is an interesting setting as it only connects Papa and Iris throughout the show. There is never conflict in this setting, and is ultimately a place of comfort for both characters as it bonds them, even to the end when their real-life identities are revealed. Here is an example of the differing transitional cue into the sunny spot.
I strongly believe that a sound designer's job is done well when their work blends in so much that the audience doesn't even realize how the music is affecting their perception of the story being told on stage. Although theoretical, I worked my hardest to try to integrate my work into the story as much as the author had intended, as if it were the original run of the show. I hope you enjoyed my theoretical sound design for the show, The Nether.